Broadcasting from the studios of WKEN, where every day is the weekend. It's the Ken Calvert Show with your host, Ken Calvert. And if you have anything nice to say about him, keep it to yourself. And now, here's Ken Calvert.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the casual studios of WKEN, where every day is the weekend. And we're coming to you on site today from Matt Brady's, located conveniently here for me, less than a mile from my house in Beverly Hills. And this is the Ken Calvert podcast, but it's also Nate Armbruster's One Crazy Story podcast.
That's right.
So we're doing two podcasts in one.
That's right.
So I get to ask you a question, and then you get to ask me a question. But first, don't you think it's important to do a little setup? Set up the room where we are?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Time-wise, what do you got on your
It
watch
is
there?
3:13, 3:13.
Ooh.
Yeah, perfect
Boy,
timing.
and I see, here's the deal. This is my first ever on-remote live podcast with my brand new toy, which is the Zoom HR5. And I think they're now up to the Zoom HR
6, I think.
But if you're a podcaster, it's kind of a must-have.
Right.
Kind of, if you're going to take the podcasting thing seriously, kids, this is the one you want to get.
I have the 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to upgrade yet.
Yeah, well, that's
saving
okay.
up.
That's okay. Well, I'm going to pay you for being on my podcast, but you have to pay me for being on your podcast.
This is the break-even
All
show.
right, so I'm going to start with this because you're a comedian and you're rolling up to Midland right after our podcast here today, right after your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So will you post this podcast? Will you post it?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
One crazy story?
Oh, absolutely.
Can I tell you one crazy story right now?
Ken, I would love to hear a crazy story from your life. You've
all right.
you've had such an interesting career.
All right. Well, here's what I'm going to
got-
ask you to do. Will you tell the nice people listening today what we have set out on the table for me to eat here today?
Oh yeah, you got. So we're at this. It's just a burger bar, really.
It's a
They got
burger bar,
yeah, they
yeah.
got burgers, all sorts of all sorts of bar food.
It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing.
some of the best food.
Yep.
And we sit down and you go, I'll have some oyster crackers, and I'm gonna get some toast, and
And no butter.
the server who knows you
Yeah.
was like confused,
Yeah. And look at that nice.
and as was I. Yeah, no, just water.
That would normally be a nice, icy chilled beaker of Miller Lite or
Yes.
maybe a Crafty. I don't know.
Okay,
I mean, if I'm in one of those
no beer though.
millennial places, I'd have to have a craft beer. But no beer. So now here's the crazy story. It's happened to me twice now in the last 3 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
I've had a meal, and then I've gone to bed. About 2 hours later, I wake up with stomach issues unlike anything I've ever had before.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
this isn't right.
Like scary.
Like, yeah, borderline scary. So I go right to the Tums, right? And the chewable, the let's get her down, like right now. Turns out, I'll make a long story short, the pain that eventually developed was unlike anything I've ever had, to the point where I assumed that I was having a heart attack. I really thought I was having a heart attack. All compressed, feeling on your chest. And it felt like there was a 9-inch nail, if only they were playing right now.
Yeah, right.
9-inch nail
Man in the
going
mirror, we'll take it.
right through my chest, all the way through my back.
Eesh.
Now I'm freaking out. It happened again 2 nights ago. And it takes about 3 or 4 hours for this to calm down, and it's not a comfortable way to calm down. But
No.
anyway, it turns out I have what they call a hiatal hernia.
Now, what is that? When I hear hernia, I think
It has to do with your esophagus. I've always heard about things like GERD and things like, what are some of the other ones that are out there? Acid reflux.
right. Just
So, I've heard of gas. I've had heartburn on occasion, but nothing like this, man.
This is
Nothing like this. So
you
anyway,
literally think you're having a heart attack.
Anyway, the doctor says, no, it's what they call, thank you very much.
Thanks.
You got a little more water here.
Oh yeah.
So
it's like bring the boys a pitcher.
anyway, this one was longer and
Worse.
Was worse. I had more pain than I've ever had before. The doctor said it was called a hiatal hernia. And, of course, what do they do when you have anything that has something to do with the esophagus and the stomach? They put you on a super safe diet. So I went home with a list of things I can and I can't eat.
Yeah, and what's on this list?
Well,
does it just say everything?
Everything I do eat is on there. Every single thing. Starting with milk, juice, you name it. I can't think of anything, with the exception of yogurt, almond milk,
Yeah.
whole wheat bread toast, no butter.
Which explains
Yeah, so that's
your
it.
lunch right now.
So Nate and I were supposed to get together and do this yesterday, but I was still heavily in recovery.
Yeah.
So that's my crazy story, and I want to tell you something. I hope it's a one and done now, because I never want to go through that ride again.
Yeah.
So that's what was going on with me, and that's why we were delayed. But now we're finally getting out and doing a podcast, and while we were standing out in line waiting to get in because the place is packed, I was asking you how long it's going to take you to get to Midland?
Yeah, Midland.
You're going to Midland.
Yeah.
All right, it's Thursday in the Rockin' Motor City.
Yeah.
We're just outside of Detroit. You looked at your phone, you said, 2 hours?
Yeah, it's about 2 hours from here where we're at right now. Yeah.
Right. And you're going up to do what?
Tell some jokes, do some comedy,
But
and entertain the masses
uh-huh.
of Midland.
How big a crowd?
Who, I don't know, actually. I've never been to this place. I would imagine it's going to be anything outrageous. You know, probably, 100, 200, somewhere in
Okay.
there. I mean, which is good.
Yeah.
I like that.
So you're the headliner?
No, I don't think, not tonight.
Oh, you're not?
Not
Okay.
tonight, no.
All right, so you'll do 35, 40 minutes?
About 30, 35,
30?
somewhere
Yep,
in there.
yep.
Usually the opener does that much, yeah.
What is the basis for this event on a Thursday night? Is it a club?
It's the Midland Center for the Performing Arts, so it's
okay.
it's probably a little nicer than like a bar gig
Uh-huh.
in that the audience is there to see a show.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could do a bar, it's like, oh, there's a show tonight? I didn't want to see a show. I wanted to watch the game or whatever. I didn't want to watch this guy. Who's Nate?
We thought it was karaoke.
It's so funny. Think about the perspective of everybody in that bar. More than half of them don't even want to see comedy tonight. And this happens regularly. And the comic is like, I drove here 2 hours in ice and snow. I just need to get paid.
Right.
So I'm doing the show.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I this is what I have to do, and I'm really sorry.
Can you?
It's like you're literally walking into a place and just ruining so many people's nights sometimes.
Oh,
But tonight is going to be much different, I think.
so actually, when I just went and said, "Is there going to be karaoke? Why is he up there?" I mean, that happens on occasion, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm getting
had,
paid. I'm going to be funny now. So why don't you just hop like a bunny
Like, yeah.
and go?
And sometimes I'm like, man, I even tell, I'll joke with the manager. I'm like, I could tell. Yeah, he's like, yeah, there. I've done this before during the like Red Wings will be in the playoffs, and it's like, and it's a big game, and they're like, and I'm a big proponent of let's shut all these TVs off while the show's going on because it's just less distractions. It'll make everything much better.
Yeah.
And I remember once the Wings were in the playoffs, and it was during that Pittsburgh Detroit those two back to back. Like it was one of those like really good year, like where it was like really exciting and stuff, and everybody's just into the game. And I look at the guy and I'm like, I don't want to go up during this. He goes, well, I mean, you're
What do you
here.
think I'm paying you for?
Yeah. Like, you got a full bar right now. You're making hand over fist money. It's a Wednesday night. You throw me that $75 you were going to give me anyway, and nothing changes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all right.
You turn off the TVs, or if anybody gets on stage right now, everyone's just going to be like, shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they would rather watch you go through that to pay you. Like, it's like this weird, it's so stupid.
Well, I remember that on a couple of occasions when I went up to I forget the place. It's changed names over and over and over again. But I was doing the Pistons at the time. I was the Pistons PA announcer, and the Pistons were on the road, but they were in the playoffs, so it was very important, not only to me, but to virtually everybody in the bar. I mean, and
Right.
there were a couple of, and I say this with total reverence because I don't know their names and I'll never see them again, so I can say it. A couple of ham and eggers who were like just sort of going, hang down your head, Tom Dooley, hang down your, come on, everybody.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, no. And
Yeah.
so I remember going over to the woman that was behind the bar, and I asked her very politely, can you just put that TV on? You don't even have to turn on the sound.
Right.
We'll just sit at the bar,
Yeah.
you know? And she said, can't do it. It's in their rider. It's in their rider. No. No TVs.
least-
No TVs while they're playing.
That.
And I thought, well, okay, but what about when they take a break? Nope. They also mentioned that during the break, that if you do the television thing, people will get into it and not want to hear them. I said, basically, nobody wants to hear them anyway.
Yeah, I see, and I understand that. I would, as a performer, I'd be like, oh, because what year was this? Was this during the Bad Boys?
Oh, yeah,
that? Like,
yeah. This was.
Because I mean, you were there during the
I was
that era, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So you were there for all that stuff.
So this was 88, 89,
So
90,
as a performer,
91, yeah.
I can at least respect. I'm like, this is big stuff. How about you still pay me and I don't perform?
Yeah.
And then everybody's happy.
Yeah, hey Larry, I got an idea. Come on over here for a minute, Larry. See that $75 right there?
Yeah.
Why don't you give it to me and I'll leave?
Yes.
Okay, but we had this whole deal. I didn't arrange the Red Wings playoff schedule.
I would kill to have a venue go to bat for me, though. What the comic wants, he gets. These days, it's like, like last week, I missed a show because I spun out. Did I tell you about this?
Yeah.
And I got stuck in a snowbank, and I called. The first thing I did. This is how entertainment messes with you and your decision making in emergency situations. I spin out. I'm facing oncoming traffic on the highway, and I'm in danger in that. Like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not in like serious. I'm just, my car's stuck.
Yeah.
But I'm still close enough to where I could get hit by any one of these people that doesn't see me. And people are going fast enough. This is the worst road conditions I've ever driven in, and I was like, there's no way nobody's gonna spin out, and I'm gonna get hit, and that was my biggest concern. But the first thing I did is I called the venue, and I'm like, yeah, I'm about 40 minutes away, and I'm in a ditch right now. Sorry, I really highly doubt I'm gonna make it on time. I'm going to do my best. I have to figure out how to get out of this, though. And it's like some girl that works at the restaurant. She's like, oh, you're a comedian? Oh, okay. Okay, I'll let them know. And it's just like, you got to realize, like, my point of contact is a 21-year-old girl that doesn't give a shit.
At all.
about anything.
It's like,
it's so stupid. I'm on the side of the road. I have no hotel room with this gig. My plan was to go out, go do the show, go home.
See, that's where I want to go. I want to break that down. I want to break down the horrors of I don't know, I guess I'm going to say the struggling comic, if you will. Because I know you're not struggling.
Well,
but I mean, there's no other way for me to bracket it. At this
I'm
point.
definitely on paper. It's sad.
Yeah, I mean, H&R Block right now.
Creatively, I'm thriving. I feel great. I feel funny. But it's sad. If you ask the lady that does my taxes.
Yeah,
it's like she goes, and I'm young, so it's not sad yet.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm about to cross into this age where it's starting to go like, okay, maybe financially, for financial purposes, maybe I should consider a few other options, And I do other projects and stuff, and like I have other things that I work on that make me money, to supplement what I do in stand up. But it's just why do I do it?
Well, I know.
What I mean?
Because there's a certain passion about comedy that is hard to explain to a lot of people.
It's
unless
true.
you. I grew up around it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. There are too many things out there that make you laugh.
Yeah.
Ergo, it's just great to see a comedian. and all of my buddies, and again, just not showing off or name banging it here. I'm just saying that, like, when I think about Tim Allen, I think about Dave Coulier,
Right.
I think about Mike Binder. I think about
you were there
that,
for all those
that
guys and their
particular
success,
but I was also there when they were struggling,
Yeah.
man. I remember so well how Tim was doing all sorts of things,
Yeah.
in advertising, as a copywriter, and he's trying
just to pay the bills
oh
so you
yeah,
can get to that next gig.
he was running around all day long with resumes for, like, any one of the local television stations. Like, I could be this guy, on your morning show.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I could be, I could do this for you.
Yeah.
Or if you ever need a guy, one of those, or if you can make the noise with the water. That's why we're doing it on the road. It's actually,
It's a good sound.
yeah, that actually is a tall Scotch and water.
Yes.
Scotch rocks, rather. I don't drink
Yes.
Scotch, so I don't know. Dave Coulier, everybody had, like musicians, all musicians
Right.
have their day jobs, You go up to Guitar Center, and every one of those guys,
Yeah.
every man and woman in that building working
Yeah.
has a gig as they're doing something
Yeah,
with it.
that's
with
why
a
they
band.
close at 9.
Yeah.
They gotta get to the show.
And that's why they open at 11. And that's like, hey, man, it's early. Yeah, man. And I tell you what I just told you.
right.
Yeah, everything all right? Yeah.
I gotta make sure I get up in the morning so I can sell.
Yeah. But, so I just wanted to emphasize one thing, that nobody just jumps into comedy and is a shooting star.
Oh no, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But don't you look back, don't you think ultimately you will look back on these, I guess, struggling comic days? I'm calling it that, not
Yeah.
you. The middle act. I mean, you start off as an MC, basically, or the...
Oh yeah, you start off open mics and
Yeah.
MCing, and then you kind of jump to you kind of get stuck in the feature spot, like
Yeah.
the middle for a while, and
And
unless
a lot
you,
of feature acts, and I'm sure, I've never seen your act, so I feel horrible about that. But I've never had the opportunity.
one of these
Basically, yeah. And in a way, Nate, I'm scared. I'm really worried
God,
about
what
it.
if I
'cause
suck?
I've known.
days, you're out here like
That's
that's the last time you ever heard from Ken.
He's dying. He's dying on the vine.
Ken's coming to see me tonight.
No, but I find
you're
it-
not even there after the
but
show.
I mean, you can't ever do your own podcast about how you got started and what you're doing
Yeah.
and what you're feeling and what you're going through. For example, tonight you were telling me that you got a list of do's and don'ts for tonight.
Oh yeah.
Do you have that handy? I mean,
Yeah, let
it's
me
on
read
your
this.
phone, right? So so Nate is.
Let me read this.
By the way,
here.
just for some background on my end of the podcast here, on my podcast, the Ken Calvert Show podcast, which was 100% put together by Nate Armbruster. That's what he does so darn well. And so that's one of your, I guess, other jobs.
Yeah, I do a lot of production stuff.
Yeah, a lot of production. That's what we're doing right now. We took the show on the road because this is what you do for other comedians. If you're a comedian out there listening to my podcast, I mean, perhaps we can leave the nice people a way to get a hold of you if you would
Oh yeah.
like to do your own album, and meaning another comedian.
Yeah,
can
I
get
record a
hold
lot of
you,
live shows, and
Record
I
a lot
do-
of live shows for people. Yeah. All right. So this is the rider that Nate got for the night tonight in Midland.
Yeah, so this is, they have all the details. They make it nice and easy. They put it all on this little one sheet for you.
Mm-hmm.
And it just says, it's got the address and location and all that, and then the special notes for this show. Because sometimes, it's good to know what you're getting into,
Sure,
It's
yeah.
You don't want to go into a gig and they're like, oh, by the way, it's next to the place that you're going to pull up, but you want to go around to the back.
Right.
Or you're going to want to, or don't talk to this guy, or, talk to this person first or whatever.
No
Sometimes it's
matter
good
what
to,
the guy says, ask
Yeah.
for Leon.
Yes. Don't get the toast. So this one says, show needs to be a light PG-13, cleaner, please.
Yeah.
Generally, older, middle-aged crowd. Typically, conservative content goes over best. Not an 18 and up venue. All caps. Do not do political humor of any kind.
Well, what are you going to do tonight on stage, Nate?
Well, they're in luck because see these kind of harsh notes like
Wait
that.
a minute. What's with the 18 and up?
It's not an 18 and up
In
venue.
other words, people have to be 21. Or
I interpret that as there might be a
it's
child.
all
in the room.
ages.
There might be. Yeah, and yeah. So I read notes like that though, and I think like,
Well, who are you opening for? SpongeBob or what?
God, man, no, SpongeBob would pay better. No, yeah, that. But when I read notes like that, I'm like, who? Wait, what? Like, why would you? Why? It's just so hectic and annoying,
Yeah.
and it's like it's so much easier to just say, yeah, no, like we're gonna book, we'll book you because there's some guys that are known for being like this guy's good for this situation, like you're not gonna put Sam Kinison in, you're not gonna even ask him to do a gig.
Yeah.
There's some people you just know, like, okay, that person would be good for this because he can be clean, or but still, it's just like no, absolutely no political humor. Not even like a silly, like you know what I mean? Can't even just because there's some people that can do political that aren't offensive. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I just think it's
Kathleen
funny.
Madigan.
Right. Just a throwaway
Kathleen
joke. Or even
Madigan.
like
I don't think Kathleen Madigan can anger anyone because you're still recovering from laughing at her last joke.
Right. And she's also not like a jerk.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like her act,
and
tone, her tone isn't like you're dumb and I'm smart because I disagree.
The one thing. That's the one thing. She had an opener that I thought was a jerk. And I mean, he just kind of snapped at the crowd like, hey, dude, settle down. It was a good joke. It wasn't a great joke.
Right.
You're not going to be funnier than Kathleen tonight.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at us to all of a sudden decide, crown you the prince of all things comedy tonight, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty good, but not off the charts. But so you still have the passion for what you're doing.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love doing it. It's like sometimes I'm, like I'm sitting in that ditch last week, thinking like, what? Why did I all of this for like a couple $100 or whatever the hell, whatever. All of this for next to nothing, like no, and it's like, why do I still do this? And then you're like, and then you get to do it, and then you get on stage, like and you're like, oh, this is fun, this is great. I enjoy doing it, and hopefully it's worth it, and it is to me still, at least creatively. Like I said, creatively, I'm like thriving. I feel,
all right.
I'm writing, I'm telling jokes, and they're working. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily getting a standing ovation every night, but
right,
I'm working.
Have you ever gotten a standing ovation?
Just as they were going to the bathroom.
Oh,
yes, that's right.
I see what you did there.
Yes,
all right.
Which I found, in my opinion, is almost a compliment in itself that they don't know, because that means that you were good enough that they held their pee. Until you were done.
Oh, Oh, I see what you do. Oh,
at least I would think so. Yeah. Last weekend I was in Wisconsin, and there was this woman. This woman got up during my. I'm about to I'm getting ready to finish. She gets up and goes to the bathroom, and I was like, now.
I'm not going to break that down because I don't know her age.
No,
I don't know the situation
business.
Exactly.
But I just think it's. But
you don't know if she has GERD. You don't know if she has some sort of a digestive issue like other friends of mine.
What's that hernia? The hernia.
Hiatal hernia. Yeah. Hiatal.
Yes. Hi.
Hernia.
But that's the comic, though. Everybody is always, you always focus on the one person in the audience that might not be paying attention, or
Yeah.
But but in my opinion, I always take that as, if 20 people got up at the end to use the bathroom, especially if there's someone after me. I'm like, they waited, because they were like enjoying it, and they were like, I can't get up, I'll wait till he's done,
okay,
that's how I take it. At least I would think so, because I would act like that.
It's kind of a double-sided joke if you think about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got a standing ovation when I ended. Everybody got up to go to the bathroom. At least they were standing up.
Yes.
And then on the other hand, they were kind enough to wait until I was done with my act, because they wanted to hear the end of my act to get up and go to the bathroom.
Right.
All right. Well, unfortunately, our time is limited here because of the fact that it's about to get slammed here at Matt Brady's. You're going forward with this. So let's take it to the next level real quickly. What do you want to do beyond comedy? Is it a television show, or is it acting?
I think a lot about this, and the reason I even started doing a podcast is, I had always kind of had a pipe dream of having a morning radio show, like where like that was like I was like, I can be funny every day, and not have to leave town, and I go to the same place every day, and it's fun and it's good, like hopefully what I would do is good. I don't know, because you've heard the bad, and it's like, oof. You don't want to be that guy.
There's nothing. You know what? I don't think there's anybody in the room that feels worse.
I think you'll. Understand this. Well, you definitely will. But when I watch comedy and I meet comedians and the egos in comedy, and you're like, look, we're both at the same dump on a Thursday. We're both here right now. So none of us are really that great tonight. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when you watch somebody and I'm like, you really think you're that amazing? Like, and then I'm like, I try to check myself when I get, if I think I'm like, if I start to think I'm like, wait, no, let's not get delusional here. I try to just make sure I know what I look like on, like, what am I really doing good?
Stay grounded.
Was I hacky? Did I, how many times have I said that joke? Of course it worked. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. I'm like, I'm not a god. Okay. Yeah. Like I just try to keep that in check. But with morning radio, I feel like it's the same way where it's like, I'm like, you guys have to know how bad you are. In some shows. Well, that's some shows that I hear.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of them out there too, but there's a lot of really good ones out there.
The great ones are awesome. Yeah. But but the bad ones, you're just like, whoa.
Well, there's
no way you don't know what you're doing is awful.
Well, I know that I used to, as I got longer and longer into the tooth, if you will, I just knew that there were times when I was right and the program director was wrong.
Right.
Or a consultant somewhere in Philadelphia listening, especially when streaming became so available. Boy, they used to fly in these national program directors, or these consultants would fly in and take a hotel room and just sit there all day listening to morning shows.
Yeah.
I mean, for like 3 days, and then compare it to your show.
Yeah.
And do you know what JJ and the morning crew are doing right now? You know what they're doing right now? You know what they're doing now? And now listen to what you did. It's like, really? Okay. And then it used to drive me crazy. It used to break my spirit. Mm-hmm. And I have friends who are consultants now doing it. And I tell them this all the time.
Yeah.
You really, really sometimes, the old joke, and I think I told you this once before, that Mort Krim told me a consultant is a guy that'll borrow your watch to tell you what time it is.
That's brilliant.
And it is. And sometimes, I remember one time I heard the word kitchen sink. One of the PDs said, "Oh, you really kitchen sinked that break." And I went, "I did what?"
Uh-huh.
You kitchen sinked it. Okay. I don't have a lot of time, and I know you don't either, Larry, but what does kitchen sinked it mean? And he said, you literally threw in everything but the kitchen sink. In other words, I talk too much. Less is more. All these little signs in So the good news is I got to do morning radio for a long time. The bad news is sometimes I never regret 1 second. I totally believe in that mantra. If you love what you're doing, you'll never work a day in your life, right? But there are times when I used to drive home with my spirit broken.
Oh, man.
Like, why is he doing this?
Right.
Why, what, this? It's not that bad. People are lighting up the phones.
Right.
I walked into a place today and, hey, you're Ken Calvert.
Literally today.
Yeah, well, that's...
guy. Yeah, we got to tell the people listening.
Yeah, Bobby comes walking over. Bobby was over there for the early part of our meal, and Bobby comes over and says, hey, how you doing? I said, doing good. He goes, Ken Calvert, I worked for you. I said, you did. And he's
92, he said.
Yeah, 1992.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I said,
what are the odds? Well, I guess pretty good, maybe.
I don't know, but I went through a lot of interns.
Interns come every 3 months.
Yeah, he said, I had a blast working with you guys. You and Ed Kelly, you guys were hysterical.
Isn't that great, though, knowing you had that kind of positive influence on a guy?
I absolutely love it.
Because as soon as he came up to you, I was like, this is either going to be really cool or really embarrassing. Because he goes, hey, I know you guys are busy,
Yeah.
but I just got to say, Ken, it's a pleasure to see you. I interned for you back in 1992, and you're like, oh yeah, and of course, I mean, obviously you didn't remember, or but
I don't remember, but
turns out that was his only. He went into real estate or whatever.
Commercial real estate.
Yeah,
and I said the market's a little soft right now, and it is. Yeah, it is.
He was, but I was like, man, he's either gonna have
Yeah, we can get the check because I think we're gonna wrap it up. Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm like, he's either gonna have a great positive story to tell, or like he's gonna be like, man, I interned and you were a dick. That's like I was really hoping for that, just so I could be like, it's not the Ken I know. It was funny though.
You take Canadian money, don't you? No, I'm just kidding.
But I was I just had to laugh because I was like, this is either gonna go real well. But that's got to be nice to know that the influence you had on someone you don't even remember was a good one. Like he was excited to see you. Like he was like, holy crap.
Yeah, and I said, well, but he also kind of intimated like, I might still give radio a shot. Did you notice that? He was like, kind of like, I'm still not. Still haven't closed the door.
I don't know how. Yeah, that's so funny. I'm like 92. You said?
Yeah,
it was 26 years ago. I was like, I was born in 92.
Yeah.
It's like people come up to me, or any comic after a show, and every comic's had this, is like, it's like, and not necessarily here's a good one for you, but like, yeah, I could do that. And you're just like, no, you can't.
Yeah, it's the old Specs Howard commercial. I have a very deep voice.
Right.
But can you type, create content?
Are you entertaining?
Are you entertaining?
Yeah. Are you funny? Are you talented?
I have a very deep voice.
Yeah.
And
the thing, and podcasting too. I mean, Howard Stern's not a big. He likes to shit on podcasts. He's like, go work in a shit market, work your way. Like he's like so like, he's totally, so about, and I love it. But I also think about it like, I'm like, well, it's not what it was when he was coming up. You can't earn a living the way he did, even a shit living, which was still pretty all right.
Well, but he can't compare that.
But you can't, because
his penthouse world to anyone's.
And my whole thing is like, I don't do a podcast because I think I can be on the radio. You know what I mean? Like that's not why. I mean, I would love to be on the radio, but then once you realize what goes into it, and I went to school and I tried to, and I thought, and I actually put myself in the room where I was like, let's see if I could do this, and I'm like, maybe it's not really for me, like that,
right. Yeah.
Or maybe, or just the opportunity. It was just like, I'm just going to keep doing stand-up, but I can at least hone some sort of skill on being comfortable in front of a microphone and talking to somebody, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Because there's still something there. And I think that's why I think it's kind of cool that people can do this now,
Well, I'm going to pay the check, but I'm going to wrap it up with this because I'm just going to say that Jerry Elliott, who does great morning radio in Columbus, Ohio, he started out as a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Went from being a comedian, he went to Specs Howard.
Oh, really?
And then he went back to being a comedian. But then he started doing appearances on all these morning radio programs. We always had Jerry on. And Jerry was a local talent that we would always have on. Morning radio doesn't do that anymore, which is sad. But anyway, Jerry Elliott then finally got a gig in Columbus, Ohio, and has not left that gig now for, I'd say, 30-some years.
Good for him.
And he's the king of the hill, man.
That's like the dream, though, right?
Yeah. So he went comedy, broadcast school, LVQ. Well, he went comedy school, comedy, circulating with radio.
Yeah.
And he was a very funny guy.
Yeah.
He was a great feature.
The thing I've noticed about anybody successful in any sort of creative, it's like you end up, if you keep doing it, you'll end up in a good spot.
Yep.
You might not be Jerry Elliott, you might not be Howard Stern, you might not be, hopefully I'm not Nate Arm. Well, you know what I mean. But like, I feel like if you just keep doing it and working towards something, it'll turn out all right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The people that stop are the ones that,
When are you going to get a real job?
That's when it gets sad. That's when it gets sad.
Nate, you're driving me crazy here. When are you going to get a real job?
You really kitchen sinked that one.
Yes. Well, we're going to wrap it up. That's
right.
Hey, everybody, it's Ken Calvert. Thanks for joining me on the Ken Calvert podcast. You wrap it up the way you wrap it up.
Hey, everybody, this is not Ken Calvert. This is Nate Armbruster on One Crazy Story. And the Ken Calvert Show.
Yeah.
We got to mention that.
And the Ken Calvert Show podcast.
Ken Calvert Show podcast.
I'll see you next time, and you'll see your audience next time.
That's
and hopefully
right.
the two audiences will get to know each other, and they'll play nice.
Yes, and we'll all meet at Brady's.
All right, well, we'll see. Yeah.
Good lunch.
Well, yeah. It's a great place, man. You
Yeah.
will not have a better burger.
Yes.
Stop on by and say hi to the good folks here, and make sure that you tell them that Ken Calvert and Nate Armbruster said to say hi to everybody at Matt Brady's.
That's right.
So long, everybody.
You can subscribe to the Ken Calvert Show podcast on Apple iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. It's also available by going directly to www.thekencalvertshow.com. You can reach Ken at kencalvertpodcast@gmail.com. The preceding program is the property of Ken Calvert and may not be rebroadcast without the written permission of Ken Calvert.